You're watching the Tesla Live with your host, Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Live number 341. Here we are into January the 10th of January. Yep, already the carousel just gets faster and faster. But I digress. Let me introduce the other co-hosts with me tonight. We have Mr. Casey Green joining us from Mid-Atlantic State. How are you today, sir?
Pretty well. I got a little email from Tesla last night, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it. They invited me to configure my Foundation Series Cybertruck. And I don't know if they're going to send it to my address of record or if they're going to send it to the last place I got service done. So there could be a little plane ride involved to pick it up if I take them up on their offer. Because then that's $1,000 that I can't get back if things don't work out. And if I wait, then what'll happen is the same thing that happened to some of the early people where it's gone. Whoops! Oh, should have been faster. And
don't even think about buying it and flipping it.
Oh, definitely don't think about buying it and flipping it. It's against they got clauses in there, and I don't want my account flagged as never getting another car again because stuff happens to cars. People out there can't drive.
So Casey has got a decision to make. It's a big one. Well, we will see. We will see what happens.
I'll keep you updated.
Very good. Also with us, joining us from the West Coast, Mr. Patrick Connors with us tonight, as per usual.
Hello, Tesla Nation. I'm so excited to be here. I always look forward to this part of the week. Should be a good show. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
Absolutely. We got lots of news, as we typically do every single week. And we're going to start this week's off with some information about Cybertruck and its North American made percentages. So we know that Tesla has always been a high percentage of American made vehicles. They've always topped that list that is put out yearly with vehicles and where the parts are coming from. And Cybertruck, although the information hasn't been posted officially, there have been some groups looking into the details of where the parts are coming for Cybertruck production. And they've discovered that 65% of the parts in Cybertruck are either being made in the United States or Canada for the production of that truck. They also have found out that approximately 25 further percent is being manufactured in Mexico. So that pushes the truck to about a 90% amount that is North American made. And of course, that's going to catapult the truck up to the top of the lists again when it comes to American made vehicles that are being sold in America. So that's a plus. That also, of course, is going to figure into the IRA rebate, of course, because they're looking for not only the parts for the vehicle, but the battery pack is a separate entity as well. And of course, we know that the battery pack is being produced in Austin at this point. That's right. The 4680 is actually in production in Austin, and of course the parts mentioned previously, the percentages have been stated, or again, it's not official at this point, but they have done the research and have looked into where these parts are coming from, because of course analysts want to know. They don't want any surprises when it comes to IRA for future people that are claiming it. And they, of course, are looking for the yearly list they put out for American-made vehicles. So that is some good news, and not a big surprise that it's a pretty high percentage. 90% North American made when it comes to the parts on the Cybertruck. Question in from Derek asking, does a Cybertruck have an EV tax rebate in Canada? There is a rebate available.
Great question.
Although the only problem is that there's an upper ceiling for a price tag on that vehicle. And currently is over that amount. Therefore, the $5,000 federal incentive available to Canadians will not apply to Cybertruck until the price drops quite a bit. So
yeah, they
are out of luck when it comes to that. But that's not a surprise.
It's very similar to the story here in the States. They qualified it until they put the real price tag on it. And then they said, yoink.
Well, hopefully, and not only hopefully, I fully expect that the price of the Cybertruck will start to come down after a while. After the manufacturing ramps up, after the vehicle is being produced in higher amounts, definitely we're going to see something that's happened with pretty well all Tesla vehicles, is that the initial cost is high when the vehicle's first debuted. And then after that, we tend to get a little bit of a cascading down over time. So
that's going to go for everybody in this room, this virtual room, and everybody who's watching us who happens to have a Tesla key or key card or key fob or phone app. You've seen what Tesla can do to prices.
Yeah.
Even if you got your car yesterday.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was just looking at that American made list, and I just decided to go to the source. So it's cars.com/American-made-index. And you can see their 2023 listings. And number 1 is the Model Y. Number 2 is the Model 3. Number 3 is the Model X. Number 4 is the Model S. And then finally, there's in 5th place, a Honda Passport.
And what is the top Model 3 on that list? Does it show a percentage?
No, but there's a details tab here that might have. No, at a quick glance, I'm not finding
it. Fair enough. But yeah, that's so they're going to own the list. Obviously 1 through 5 is going to be locked up in Tesla products, which is not a really big surprise. But
right, yeah. Once the Cybertruck gets added for next year, you can expect Honda to get bumped down one more spot.
Yeah. Honda's on the way down.
Just did a top 5. Yeah, anybody who just did a top 5 is going to have to do a top 10 now. Or they have to convert it to manufacturers.
Yeah, otherwise it's just another Tesla list, right? So,
right.
Next, here's a story that's close to my heart. We were talking a week ago about Cybertruck arriving in Southern Ontario. We had the mystery of where the Cybertruck was hiding for a week somewhere in the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, for those that aren't familiar. And it finally did show up on the 4th of January. It was on a display for a Tesla group that's local to Toronto. They got a private showing. And then the next day, it was on public showing at a mall, Yorkdale Mall in Toronto proper. And I wasn't able to get out there on Friday the 5th, but I was able to get out there Saturday morning, the 6th of January. And I do have a few photos that I can share with you
right
guys.
Before they packed it up and moved it somewhere else?
No, the private viewing was at the Lawrence Tesla location in Toronto, and then it packed up that night and was shipped to Yorkdale overnight.
Nice. I remember there was a tweet that morning said, "Hey, if you're looking for it over there, don't bother."
Yeah, it's not in Lawrence anymore. It has moved. So follow the bouncing truck. It was found in Yorkdale the next morning. It was ready to go. So,
but it wasn't the only one to move around, though, was it?
No, there was another one that was on that transport trailer that ended up in Montreal, Laval, Quebec, and it went on display immediately So they didn't have to wait a week. It just immediately went on display. So
There you go.
that's what we were upset with over here in Toronto, that they made us wait another week for some strange reason.
So even though you got to see it, you never found out why?
So you at the Yorkdale site, you were not allowed to take a video.
Whoa.
And you may ask, how did I get this? Well, I was close to the first in line, and no one told me specifically I couldn't take a video. So I quickly shot a few second video just to take it in at that point. So that was kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
And then got a whole bunch of photos that we can kind of look through. The light bar, of course, it was plugged in, so the light bar was active immediately.
Yeah.
And love this shot from the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You saw what I was talking about, where it was surprisingly curvy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't look like it has a curve on it in the pictures.
No, not in any of the pictures, but when you're up close to it, you can see the curve.
Yeah.
And the back, this was a foundation series. As you can see, there's foundation is etched into the tailgate.
Oh, nice. So that means that's not going to be seconds whenever they're done with it. All the others didn't have anything written on them.
This has foundation. It's tough to see in the photos, but foundation was definitely on it. It's very opaque when you're looking at it. Even like depending on the light in the room, you have to twist your head a little bit sometimes to even see it. It kind of blends right in if the light is hitting it just the right way.
It's like they only lasered it like 2 levels deep.
It has those 3 heads on the Foundation series version, right?
If it's a tri-motor. Yeah.
I thought all the Foundations were tri-motor.
No. You have the option of getting a dual motor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't realize
in a second.
Yeah, I thought that Foundation meant a particular package that included FSD and tri-motor. And
it includes those extra things. Yeah,
Okay.
it includes those extra things, but it does not necessarily have to be the tri-motor. It could be the dual motor, but all those extra options like FSD and unlimited connectivity, all those things are rolled into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Here's the mega wiper. I put the phone over my head to take this photo to see if I could get the VIN number, which is supposed to be up here somewhere.
I've never seen a VIN number on one. Yeah,
it's up in this area of the wiper. I'm thinking the wiper's blocking it, but it's supposed to be right up here in this area. So
unfortunately,
the wiper blocked it in this particular case as well. So
and you're pretty tall, so
yeah.
Did you take my advice and bring a stick?
I did not bring a stick. No, I didn't bring a stick.
Don't go over the rope, sir. I'm not. My phone is.
And a hand comes down and chops your stick, and now it's their phone.
Just like getting sucked out of an airplane window.
That's right. That's right. And they had one wheel cover off, so you could see the difference.
I thought that was clever on their part.
Between wheels. And I'm shocked that they don't have at least the lug nut covers on these things. Like I thought they would have that, because that would make this look so much better if it had a center cap and some lug nut covers.
Yeah.
And if Tesla doesn't come out with one soon, all the Tesla accessories companies will. So Don't worry, it'll be there. Someone will make it happen.
Yeah.
And if they don't make one for the stock wheel, then somebody will make a 3D printer template.
Mm-hmm.
And again, kind of interesting. You can see the upper control arm in place here with the bolt that runs through it, and not a lot of space between where this bolt is and the tire. It's an interesting design. My Model 3 is exactly like this.
Same with the X.
So I'm assuming this is just a Tesla thing, is how they do it.
And S,
But I thought at least that they would have the extension of the bolt maybe shaved down to its lowest possible, but it was sticking through quite a bit. So
what's interesting is on the rear axle, they don't have that problem. Yeah. And the rear axle steers, so you can't say it's a steering wheel thing.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm not sure why that was, but that is the case with the Cybertruck as well. There's a little bit of the foundation you can see in this light.
Yeah, you can see it there.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
And another shot of the side. There's a better shot of the foundation series. Is it this photo or the other photo? This photo here. This was interesting, where the sheet metal comes to this sawed-off point here at the bottom of the tailgate, and then runs up the side of the tailgate. When you're looking at it from the back, you can see that this is just a sheet like of metal. That's all it is, and you can see the gap in between, a little bit of a gap, not huge. But what struck me was that it comes right down to that these are basically sharp. Again, no one got to touch the truck, but just looking at this metal, I'm thinking that it's going to be fairly sharp where these come to points. One thing, again, this truck was like all the others, it's just locked up. You can't get to it. There's no doors open. There's no windows open. But when the door is open, those points at the bottom of the doors, they're going to stick out. And there could be issues with people stabbing themselves with it. Like it's not a needle or anything like that. It is a blunt end, but it's because the metal is so thin, it is something that it could break your skin. Like I could see that happening.
So Kyle went over today on his video where wherever there's an exposed edge like that, they've got it kind of curled under a little bit, and they've kind of got like a little, I guess it's like a plastic edge protector on it, except for the edge where the hood meets the windshield. That one he said is super sharp and has no protection on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's a better shot of seeing that gap. Like
exactly, yeah.
You think this is almost black plastic, but that's not. That's just the shading being thrown off by this piece of metal that runs down. It's interesting. I had a good amount of time to examine it. Looking it over, it was different in person than what I expected to see from photos and videos that I've seen. Again, the size of it, I would say it pretty well matched my expectations how big it was. Okay, this is a full-size pickup. But the height surprised me a little bit. I thought it was going to be a little bit higher. Now that could have something to do with the air suspension. Obviously, it wasn't fully extended when it was being displayed. It was partially extended, but it was a little shorter than I thought it was going to be. But that could be the airbags too, just how it's being displayed.
Part of it.
The wheel struck me as massive, like just crazy large, and it adds to the look of the truck. Those tires really make it look like an urban assault vehicle. Like it just does. It reminds me of Aliens, that crazy vehicle that drove them into the heart of the alien area in the movie Aliens. It really reminds me of those type of tires. Like these tires are ginormous. But they look great on it. I love that they're pushed so far to the ends of the truck, giving you, that distinctive look where you've got a shorter nose, but you've got a long bed. You've got a 6-foot bed almost, which is bigger than the competition. So unfortunately, doors were not open, windows were not open. So whenever you looked inside, even though you were close, there was a lot of reflection going off the windows as I was trying to take pictures of the interior. I was just getting myself and some lights sprayed back at me. But I could definitely see the Cyber cup holders from the outside. The screen was off So couldn't see anything but black there. But I'm impressed. I like the look of it. It has grown on me since the unveiling. Over time, it has grown on me. I don't really have room for a 19-foot truck at my house. And I really have no purpose for a truck other than every once in a while, it's nice to bring home a appliance that you buy new yourself, or, going to Home Depot to buy some wood items. Maybe you're working on something. It's nice to have a truck when you're doing that. But other than that, I really don't have a use for a vehicle of this size in my life. But I can say that honestly, that I will love the opportunity to try to drive it. I'm looking forward to taking one for a spin when I can, because it really looks fun. And all those videos that we're seeing out there now with people driving it, it's just whetting my appetite even more to get behind the wheel of one and test out that drive-by-wire steering and be able to just see what it's like driving at those heights off the ground compared to my Model 3. So it was a great experience. And if you're close to a showroom that has the Cybertruck, I would suggest check it out. Take some time to go view it. The lineups are shrinking at this point. There are more and more opportunities, and it's something that I would definitely say to try viewing it in person, because it does give you some different impressions than what you get from photos or videos when you see it up close.
For sure. So what I'm showing here is the order form for the Foundation series, and they point out that it's limited edition, fully optioned, exclusive badges, and premium accessories. And so this one here is showing is the dual motor. You get 318 miles range as equipped, because these tires are super aggressive. Otherwise, if you get normal tires, you get 340 miles of range. 0 to 60 in 4.1. Stats. Limited edition configuration, laser edge Foundation series badge, Foundation series cabin graphics, and the 20-inch wheels with 35-inch tires. You get the white decor, premium accessories, PowerShare home backup with the PowerShare mobile connector, versus a regular Tesla comes with no mobile connector anymore, and full self-driving capability and lifetime premium connectivity. So that's something that Patrick and I are used to on our Model X's.
And my Model 3.
Oh, your Model 3 has it? Okay, good.
Yes, those are 3.
It is original, that's why. And but it wasn't to the point where they were doing the supercharging by the time they got yours, though. And so then the Cyber Beast is the same thing, except it has a little less towing capacity and a little less payload capacity, because it's heavier and it's the same exact frame. So it's frame limited, not motor limited. But if you click Cyber Beast, there's a light bar that shows up there, because it adds the light bar.
Oh,
yeah. I guess I don't know if it has any aerodynamic impact, but I guess if it does, then that's something they were considering. Like, oh well, it's already got a little detriment. Let's put that on there.
Just wait and buy the light bar after the fact.
All right, so then you can decide if you want the range extender or not. You don't have to pay for the range extender up front, but you do have to reserve it with a $500 non-refundable deposit. For the one I picked, they say that'd be 470 mile range. And if you pick the Beast, the Cyber Beast, it says it'll be 440 plus miles of range.
do they say whether it's permanently installed, or how do you add and remove it?
The only thing they say is that it requires installation at a service center, and production is planned in late 2024. So they might not even know. Oh, and that you get priority installation if you give them the money now. It's because apparently there's going to be a line for these things. So this one was kind of cool. The PowerShare on the outlets, you get two 20 amp outlets inside the car and two 20 amp outlets inside the bed for the 120. And for the 240, you get a 40 amp 1450. And you're limited to 40 for the system, 40 amps total, or 20 and 20, 20 for the back and then 20 for the cab. You get 3 USB Type-C chargers, high output, And the auxiliary connectors, the ones for the light bar and the one in the front behind some of the paneling, is they give you a 400 watt output. I just see that in the manual. This was pretty cool right here. It includes power share home backup, so you can use a Cybertruck to power your home off the grid. Universal wall connector and gateway are included.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that part right there was like, I'm like, I think the gateway with that power wall I used to have behind me was I think around 2,000 at the time, and who knows what they charge for it now, because that thing only went up from when you
How
guys
much
last
is
saw.
the Foundation Series upgrade?
It's 20 grand from the base truck, whichever one you pick.
Okay, yeah. So if you're getting all of these things and premium connectivity and FSD, it's not. It seems like a pretty good deal.
$1,000 premium.
Yeah, the FSD, Derek asked, does it come with autopilot? And yes, you get full FSD comes with it.
Yeah, full FSD
as part of the package.
But when you pick it up right now, at least until the next software update, when you pick it up right now, it's all manual. You get Smart Cruise, and that's it.
Yeah.
You get to steer it all the way. Stainless steel exterior, we knew about that. The cyber wheels. The white decor is something that they didn't really tell us about. You get black seats with a white decor, which I think is the best compromise with a truck, because you end up with dirt. It's not getting all over the truck because you only have the panels to worry about, but the seats are black. 9.4 inch rear display, 18.5 inch infinity display up front, which is an inch and a half bigger than the S and X. 15 speaker premium with dual subwoofers. We'll talk about speakers in a minute. Upward folding second row seats, heated and cooled ventilated front seats. The middle rear seat doesn't have heat or cool, and the rear seats, other than that, have heat. It's got the HEPA filter, just like the X, the panoramic glass windshield, and custom cabin lighting, which is that red you see. You can change it to whatever color, just like Highland.
Nice.
Got FSD. And then here's what's included. Else is included aside from the gateway and all the chargers. You get the universal wall connectors, one with the what I call the mini music dock, and Tesla doesn't like that, but it is. You get the all-weather interior liners. You get the glass roof sunshade, so you get this great glass roof, and then you can cover it up. You get a center console tray, so you don't just have this big cavity right beside you, and the gear locker dividers. So in the trunk, underneath the floor of the bed, there's a trunk, and then you get the metal dividers for that. You get D rings for the vault, and L-track hooks, and then something I don't see myself using, but it's kind of cool. The L-track bottle opener. Kind of while you're tailgating, it's right there.
Doesn't have to be beer. You can open a Coke. Coke Zero. It can be whatever.
I don't drink Coke Zero anymore. It's water. I guess it could be instead of still water like I'm used to. I guess I could do bubbly water. So then they call out the charging again. They give you the PowerShare mobile connector and the PowerShare universal wall connector. The PowerShare mobile connector, as far as we can tell so far, and after reading the manual, is just a different color. But it's got to have some electronics in there or something for them to bother renaming it, right?
Yeah.
And then of course they'd be glad to take $1,000.
And boom, you've got it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's impressive, Casey. We will certainly watch your progress with interest to see what you actually decide to do. But
Definitely, somebody suggested, why don't you Turo it for $1,000 a day? And I was like, that sounds really nice. Get it paid off real quick. And then I was like, I used to rent cars out professionally, like for a rental car company. I was like, do I want those people in my car? Even if I can just think of it as a business.
Exactly. Yeah, Turo's a whole other ball game. If you believe the car is yours, if you're dedicated that this is a business and that's what you're going to do with it, then it's a little bit easier to run disconnected like that. But if it's your baby and you've got people that are in it doing weird stuff, I don't know. I don't think I would do well if it was my baby renting it out.
If you're emotionally attached, you will be disappointed.
Yeah.
Or even if you're not emotionally attached, you're just thinking, hey, I'll use this a couple of weeks a year. And then somebody ruins that for you.
Yeah.
So another thing with that is like my insurance company. I called them up. They're fine with Uber. In fact, I did Uber the Model X and the Model S for a little while. They got prickly when I asked them about Turo. First they're like, I didn't know, or if they were giving me a chance to get through. And I explained what it was, and then they're like, nah, you might want to stop this line of questioning. We don't support stuff like that. I was like, okay, I can take a hint. So I would then also need to get a different insurance company, at least for the one vehicle for that.
And as you mentioned in the past, if you're going to get insurance, you make sure you're covered. It may take a few policies, but you want to be covered if you're renting this thing out.
Yes. And especially if somebody sees that and they think, oh, money. And then also they see the sharp corners. Ooh, more money. So get all the coverage.
Well, Casey's got our next story about Tesla and Superchargers and what they've been doing lately.
A few weeks ago, we told you about Supercharger number 50,000. It was red. It was in California. It was pretty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here we are this week on January 6th. Tesla put out a tweet, X post, and they showed us that they were at 55,000 Superchargers already.
So
Wow.
another 10% on top of their 50,000
in weeks, and we're not talking like 12 weeks. We're talking like sometime from November, December to now.
That's remarkable. The amount that it's been going up. But I've noticed in my area. I don't know if you guys have noticed in your areas, but I've been keeping an eye on Superchargers, and man, they are just going up like there's no tomorrow, which is great. The more the merrier. But it has been this push that in my area lately. I've noticed. In fact, I've even noticed. The Washington-Oregon corridor seems to be a lot going on Is it 5?
5. Yep.
Yeah. There's a huge amount that I see pop up every once in a while. It seems to be a building phase going on there too.
Yeah, I-5 gets a lot of traffic. It's the main artery up and down the West Coast, all the way from San Diego to Vancouver, Canada. So there's a lot of traffic on that 1,500 miles or however long it is.
So I'm here in my notebook. Last year, Tesla deployed 606% more charging stalls in the U.S. than its nearest closest competitor, which was 850 stalls. Electrify America at 588, and ChargePoint at 410. And of course, the average uptime of Superchargers was 99.95%. And we know the others can't claim anything close to that. Otherwise, they wouldn't have
That's always the issue with the third-party chargers is uptime.
Yeah, Tesla had that video of all the things they accomplished in 2023. And if I remember the number correctly, I think they installed over 11,000 charging spots in 2023. And they're only going to do more this year.
Yeah, let's see, 11,000 by 365.
And Hockey Day, you are correct. There is still no Supercharger in Sarnia, but we are working on it. Every quarter, we're voting. And now I've got Patrick and Casey helping with voting too. So we're going to get that. We're going to get that Sarnia Supercharger. We'll get it.
So that is what I just had it. It was over 33. So over 30 Superchargers every single day last year.
Wow.
By stall.
Yeah, that's remarkable. But isn't that what we said we needed too?
Yes.
With this now rollout starting in February with Ford being able to access 15,000 Superchargers throughout the United States and Canada, it is something that is going to be required, and they're going to have to keep going on this. And with the information that we've seen in this this info article, it looks like they're up to the challenge. It looks like they're going to be able to keep up with demand. And obviously, we're going to have hiccups along the way, especially when these Fords start to join in, and GM probably shortly after that. You're going to have a situation where a couple of Chevy Bolts are charging at 50 kilowatts, and people are going to be upset that they're taking so long. But there are going to be bumps in the road along that way. But the great thing that we've always said is that Tesla monitors their own superchargers, and they are driven by that data. So they'll be able to see that certain superchargers need bolstering, need additional units, or needs a whole new supercharger built close to the current one. And that's the difference with Tesla, is that since they own the chargers and the network and the data, they can react a lot quicker than somebody else that's relying on another company to do these type of things for them.
You know what? I just realized something. We discussed the change in how the idle fee works. Instead of being plugged in and not charging, and they charge you every minute, how they now charge you starting at 90%. I'm wondering, because it slows down considerably at 80%, no matter who makes it. But I'm wondering if perhaps Tesla did a survey of the other places and noticed all those 50 kilowatt volts charging to 100% and said, nah, we're not going to deal with that. And
that really depends on the agreement that they had and those that GM signed.
Well, they did say that they would pay the same price as us. So
that includes idle fees.
Yeah.
So
so
we will see. But I'm excited. They said February. We're only a couple weeks from February. It'll be interesting to see as Fords start to join the network. And of course, that's going to be a big win for Ford owners that have unreliable charging at this point to be able to join this network. So that's going to be a plus for them for sure. So they're going to be happy regardless because they're going to get a more reliable and robust network added to what they already have access to. So that's a big plus for them.
I expect to see a tweet with Jim Farley at a Tesla Supercharger charging up a Ford Lightning or a Mach-E or something. And
absolutely. Well, next, let's roll on to Patrick's story about some energy product updates. What has Tesla done here?
Yeah, so this comes to us from Teslarati by Maria Morano. And it's titled, Tesla opens energy products to third-party developers. So the Powerwall, solar, and the connected wall connectors, if I can say it that way, the wall connectors with internet access now are...
So not my legacy wall connector.
Yes, not the legacy wall connectors, the newer wall connectors. They now have support for third-party developers to write apps. And there have been some apps in the past, but they've always been through these, we've reverse engineered, we figured out this API, we figured out some backdoor, we're able to collect this data. Those types of things are unsupported by Tesla. With the next build of software or firmware pushed to that device, that app could stop working altogether. But now these are supported APIs, making a robust developer community. There's a lot of people out there that are very enthusiastic about Tesla products. So actually taking that step is great. So, for example, if your power goes out and the Powerwall starts taking over and running your household, someone could write an app that would announce this on your smart TV or your smartwatch or your home assistant device, or even maybe send you a text message. If you have smart appliances or smart outlets, maybe those could be shut off. Lots of cool stuff could happen. One of the things that I've wanted for a long time, and I hope somebody eventually does this, is at 10 o'clock, if my car's at home and it's not plugged in, to send me a text. And now if you have a smart wall connector, it could text you and say, I'm lonely, I'm not connected to my buddy. You could just get creative and do a whole lot of things. And so this started with a collaboration with Samsung and Tesla, which is great. And the best thing about this is Tesla didn't just give Samsung some special access and let them do stuff. Instead, they opened it up to any developer. And so who knows what people are going to come up with. And California has NEMS 3.0, which it shouldn't even be called net metering anymore, because it does not pay to send solar into the grid under their new system. So if you're under that, you're going to do things like, Tesla added the charge on solar, and that's one way to not send it to the grid. It's to use it yourself. So after you've charged up your power walls, charged up your car, if you still have surplus solar, what are you going to do with it? Well, if you have this API and you have an app, maybe you can find some way to turn on other stuff in your house to self-consume, like maybe a crypto miner or something. And instead of sending it to the grid, find some way to benefit from it yourself. And these are just, examples off the top of my head. And people are going to come up with all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. And that's a great thing about opening up the API to all developers, is that it's going to allow that type of innovation to occur. As opposed to just one or two companies that signed a deal with Tesla. This allows everybody to get involved. It almost becomes an app store type thing, where these individual developers are saying, I've always wanted this, why don't I write it? Get it approved by the Tesla API, and everyone can have access to it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just very topical because last night and the night before, depending on where you are in the country, some class 1 hurricane force winds were just blowing through the nation. And here we lost power about 10 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it didn't stay out, but our neighbors, like the next 2 blocks, we had power, but everybody else in the neighborhood, no power. And so my home battery, it took over, and it used to have a undocumented API. And I've got the Samsung system, among others, in my house, and it was tapped in, it was reading, it was doing exactly what the Tesla one would allow you to do, until they had an update, and they closed the connection. And so that's what could have happened with the Tesla hacked together API. So not really hacked, but you know what I mean, hacked together.
Yeah.
And but I could have done stuff like, oh well, we're on battery. We don't need these certain things, or at least, hey, when the battery's to 50%, let's focus on the essentials rather than so we need the TV on after a certain amount of time, or whatever the case may be. Like hot water meters.
Right. Yeah. We have high winds happening around here right now. And yesterday I looked, and there were 1,000 people that didn't have power. And today I looked, and it was 3,300 people without power. So there's definitely winter storms happening. So of course I went into the power wall and I bumped the reserve up from 25% to 50% because I want to make sure that And then last night the lights flickered, and I'm like, oh, was that flicker that we lost power and the power wall took over, or was it just a flicker? And so I went and looked, and we didn't lose power. It was just a flicker. And hopefully as somebody nearby was getting their power turned back on.
Yeah.
But it would be nice if I had some way for, instead, if I could have just checked I guess I could have looked to see if the power walls were running. But instead of just noticing a light flicker, if I got some notification when the power walls took over, that would be a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Right, like you can make that light rod behind you turn red. Or green.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. That would be cool.
Here's a video we're going to share just to be a PSA announcement, really, is this video that we caught and posted on our Twitter feed. And of course, if you want to follow us through the week, you can do that on our Twitter feed at the Tesla Life, also on our Facebook feed, the Tesla Life #1. So join those feeds to see what we're doing throughout the week. But
you can also find us on X.
Yeah, that's great. Here's a gentleman that spotted a Cybertruck trying to make its way up a steep driveway.
Right.
And what I found interesting here, and I don't know anything about mud tires. I'm not a truck person. I've owned a truck a long, long time ago, but just used it as a city vehicle. And what I wanted to know is that with these massive tires that are on the Cybertruck that come standard with the Foundation series, the only one being sold, were they any good in snow? And I surmised that, well, wouldn't it handle snow just like kind of it handles mud? Maybe it would be okay. But this video was taken in Tahoe, and obviously this gentleman was having difficulty climbing an embankment on a driveway. So snow tires are probably a requirement for the Cybertruck if you're going to be in this soft powder type snow that in this case is almost up halfway the wheels in this particular case. But it answered a question for me that I really didn't know. Is this truck going to require snow tires? And it looks like the answer is going to be yes. Maybe even, well, in Tahoe, maybe it's chains as opposed to snow tires. or both.
Yeah. The gentleman who recorded the video and shared it said something to the effect of, I'll call Elon to come get you. And
Yeah.
Exactly, you want to have proper tires. And I bet you if they had been shipping this in Canada at this time of year, they would have come with proper snow tires on them. But in the US, we don't have any such regulations. So we get the monsters.
And of course, you're talking about a vehicle that's being sold to Californians, and they have that wide variety of weather. It could be at the beach, it could be a hot day, or you could be up in Tahoe and it could be in snow country. Right. You've got this really wide variety of conditions that the vehicle has to handle. I'd be curious to see when the deliveries start, if the deliveries start for the Foundation series for Canadian owners, if those are going to be able to drive on regular roads with snow. Obviously, this Tahoe video was an extreme case. There was a lot of powdered snow around. Do these tires work well in snow, or do they not? I still really don't have the answer, except for this one video that we've seen on the internet recently.
This one and the guy who was getting the Christmas tree who slid off the forest road, same effect, but he had the Ford to tow him out. I would suspect that if they don't want to do the Cybertrucks, what they'll do is you guys won't get yours except through April through August, and then they'll start delivering them.
Yeah. And then we will not know until it's actually into spring and summer. So then we won't have our answer until the next winter. But
right, but if you're heading out into the snow, you should always take a traction device, whether it's chains. The thing that I really like, or they're called auto socks, and I had those for the Leaf, and I had them for the X, and now I have them for our Y, and they work great. They're light, they're easy to put on. They're from a Norwegian company. I think they have some snow there, I've heard.
Yeah. And with that, like Mark said, you wouldn't think that the mud tires would have trouble with it, but when you think about it, frozen water and viscous mud they behave differently when you put 6,000 and change pounds on them. So
yes,
always be prepared. Get you some friction modifiers like a skid board or some extra stuff and sand, and if this is not a freak occurrence in your location, like if it or ices regularly for weeks on end, get you some proper snow or ice tires, whatever you need.
Yeah.
Yep.
Correct. Going to share another picture that we got here. Again, of the Cybertruck. This time it's in a familiar spot. This, of course, is the Vegas Loop. The Cybertruck showed up last weekend and has apparently is now running the Vegas Loop during CES. And this, of course, is a major free advertisement for Tesla, the Cybertruck, in Vegas, as we've got the large consumer electronics show that's happening at the Las Vegas Convention Center, where the tunnel is currently and is in wide use. So what better to have a free advertisement for your premier vehicle that just hit the market and show it to all the CES people that are taking the loop during their stay at CES. So smart move. In fact, they should probably have a couple just to increase the visibility of this vehicle to all the people that are going to be taking those shuttles. Indeed.
Ellie in Space managed to take a little detour over for CES, and she attempted to find the Cybertruck. And when it was there, it was not operating as a loop vehicle. She figures it was for VIPs. Either maybe some Tesla board members were there, or even more like the VIPs for the customers. Like, hey, you're here looking at CES and seeing the loop in action again. What about this thing? And she mentioned that somebody had mentioned on my show, like, oh, I thought that the loop was shut down, and I said that was unlikely because the major portion of the loop right now is for the convention, and so if there's no convention active, then they might shut it down because the hotels aren't going to want you to go to the other hotel. So why would they pay to keep the loop open? But I think that as they finish it up, then that won't be concern. But she pointed out that, yes, it was down for 3 weeks because there was no convention. And now that there is one, it was back in full swing. She interviewed a driver, and that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, yeah. Next, Patrick's got a story about our favorite car rental group. What's going on there, Patrick?
That's right. So this story comes to us from Drive Tesla Canada, and it's written by Darren John, and it's titled, Hertz starts selling off its early Tesla inventory, and there are some good deals. So we talked about it back in 2021 when Hertz announced that they were going to be buying up to 100,000 Tesla vehicles for their global rental fleet. And now a little over 2 years later, and the company has started selling off some of that inventory. And if you don't mind purchasing from a formal rental car, you could find some really good deals, the story says. So there is a tax credit for used vehicles, and they were trying to find out if it applied to these Hertz vehicles. And as the time of this story was written, Hertz could not confirm that it does apply. So check with your tax consultant, because I don't see why it wouldn't apply, but that's on you to check. So there are, most of these are in California, not surprising. There are over 800 of them listed, mostly Model 3s and Model Ys across the US. There's currently, although they have some rentals in Canada, there are none listed for sale yet north of the border. I'm sure that's coming soon. Let's see if there's some of the particular deals in here. So
they have the Model 3 standard range, I think,
right,
for about $20K, and in some cases a little bit lower.
Yeah, 17 grand.
Yes, yeah. So one of them was found for $17,700 by a user at Rivian Updates.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Hertz confirmed to him that that they would be able to do the tax credit, and they are registered as a dealer because they sell so many cars through their outlet that they would be able to process that for him. I guess that means they also registered to do the point of sale credit. That part wasn't clear in the exchange. But
okay.
Yeah.
So if you are looking at these, one of the tips in here is to double check the warranty, because depending on whether it was a standard range or a long range, the warranty could either be 100,000 miles or 120,000 miles. And a lot of these are below that. So you would actually still have some manufacturer warranty on the battery, which is good. And Hertz themselves is offering some warranty. They say it comes with a 12-month, 12,000-mile limited powertrain warranty, 1 year of roadside assistance with unlimited miles, towing coverage, of course, rental car coverage.
They'd be foolish not to include that.
Wonder how they could do that. Yeah.
So some sweet deals could be had here, especially if you can find something around $20K and get a $4,000 tax credit. Wow. That's a steal, even if it is a little stuffed up or whatever. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was hoping that they would have not treated this as regular cars, and they would have held on to them for a little longer, especially since they don't have as much maintenance. But as we saw, that once Tesla started moving the price around, Hertz was complaining about our resale values. It's like, well, you
then don't sell them.
It's not like the engine's going to blow up.
Right. So obviously they're not looking at it as any different than a regular car that they've been renting forever. Maybe it does take someone to examine the economics of maybe keeping a vehicle for an extra half year or full year. If it's holding up well, if it can hold up well, that could help with the depreciation in car value at the sale point. Being able to hold that car 50% longer would definitely make some difference in those numbers. Yeah. But I'm not sure if Hertz is looking to make that transition or has looked at that possibility of making that transition.
Yeah, the only thing I would suggest to them looking at it, aside from look at the possibility to keep it longer, is that if you do keep them longer, do make sure that before you hand them over that there is some warranty left, like 5,000, 10,000 miles of warranty left. That way it adds peace of mind to somebody who might be new to EVs, doesn't mind buying a rental car, but they also want assurance that if something goes catastrophically wrong through no fault of their own, that it has some assurances behind it. And then they aren't exposing themselves to that being on the hook because it's still under manufacturer's warranty.
I will put out a word of caution to people that are thinking about this vehicle is if you're shy of rim rash or B-pillar scratches, these are not the vehicles for you, because there's going to be a lot of scratches in these vehicles as a rental, especially since they put the key cards inside hard plastic cases that people have been rubbing on the B-pillar for every rental. The price is great, but there's going to be some superficial damage to these vehicles, and you're going to have to deal with that.
I will also caution that the B-pillar is a lot cheaper than you.
Right, but if this is your first Tesla, you're gonna
what?
If you're buying this for someone's first car, even with those scratches or wheel rash, rim rash, whatever, they're gonna love it anyway. Absolutely.
And the driver's side people.
If this would have been an option a couple years ago when we were shopping for an EV and we bought that Chevy
Spark.
Which one?
Spark.
What? Yes, we bought the Spark EV, and this would have been an alternative. Yes.
Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, if you're afraid of the B-pillar having scratches on it, it's a lot less expensive than you would think. You can do it yourself. They've got the service manual online, or you can get a mobile tech to do it, or you can take it over to the shop and it'll be done in if you let a pro do it, it'll be done in 6 minutes at the high end. Probably around 3 minutes for them to change that B-pillar out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, those things can be fixed, obviously, but just keep in mind. Just keep in mind that this is going to be different than buying it from somebody typically, because you've got so many different owners users that have used the vehicle. So,
yeah,
I think we will move this to our last story position. We're going to skip the other one just because we're running out of time. And of course, the huge story that just hit the presses this morning, was that the Model 3 refresh, the Highland edition, has been put on the website as live to order. So in North America. So Canada, the United States, and Mexico, along with Puerto Rico, I believe, now have
part of the U.S.
of ordering that new refreshed Model 3. And I gotta believe there's going to be maybe a few sales here and there for existing Model 3s, as maybe they're going to try to get rid of some of those, because of course the line didn't shut down; they kept producing, and there's going to be a number of Model 3 standard editions that are out there. But again, if you've been waiting, here's the news that you can now go onto the website and order your Highland edition. And get yourself that refreshed car with all the extra updates and, of course, lessons learned over the past 6 years that Tesla has been producing the Model 3, which is very exciting to see that they've incorporated some of the issues that they've seen into the new car to eliminate them and make the car a better experience for owners.
Definitely.
Any word on a front camera?
No front camera. Sometime after sunrise, one of the other CCS1 countries like Singapore or Taiwan, they also got the new Model 3 launched in their country as well. The Model 3 performance has disappeared. It will return soon. Rumors are that it hasn't finished the RC stage, and so we're expecting that to be before the end of the quarter. The Model 3 Performance is also the only one that qualified for the tax credits. So if you want to get a tax credit on these, you'll have to lease them. And you cannot purchase a Tesla lease after you have leased it. You have to turn it in. That's the only option. So this is exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait to start seeing those on the road as well. We'll look forward to taking one of those for a spin and comparing it to my current Model 3 as well. But it's a big deal. This is the first major refresh of the Model 3, and there's quite a number of enhancements to the vehicle. And one of them that I look forward to is that rear screen, and of course the quieter interior. It's even eliminated more road noise for the vehicle. The perforated seats, there's a number of the great the new interior lighting package. Again, all things that are new to that Model 3.
And so Derek's asking what an RC is. That's a release candidate, like we saw with the Cybertrucks that were like almost done, but they weren't yet in serial production. That's what that is. So it's pretty much there, but they need to iron out some more bugs.
I really like the way that Tesla does that. So they go through alpha, beta, release candidate, because these are the same things you do with software releases. Exactly. And so as a software developer, that was like very natural for me. It's like, oh yeah, of course. When the first Model S that I saw was, I think it was an alpha, and they were doing a tour through art museums around the country. And I don't remember, this was 2015, 2014, something like that. And I was just like, what? You guys, what do you mean this is an alpha? That's not how cars go. There's prototypes. And they're like, no, we didn't do it that way. And then that was also when they had those self-presenting door handles that went flush. And I was like, oh, so this is just a prototype. Those are never going to go to market, right? And he's like, no, that's production intent. And I was like, really? I was very skeptical back then. And because
that's all you had to go on, was what other automakers had done, right?
Right.
Yep.
And so they announced this with the X post last night, and it was one of the longer ones with multiple pictures. It was nice, and then they even made it like a 30-second video on X and YouTube. It had a nice little kind of like dystopian bass beat, but it was a little brighter, a little happier than what you saw for the ones for the Cybertruck. It wasn't as angry, like the world is terrible. And this is going to be exciting for those of you who've been waiting for the new look. But as we've been warning you, if you were one of those people who wanted stocks or the tax credit, both of those things are gone. So if you're looking for the new tech, you got it. If you weren't, that time has passed. Get one in the inventory before it's gone.
Yeah,
I hear Hertz has some.
Yeah, they were initially saying that you'd get yours between January and March if you ordered last night, and now they're saying February to March as of right when we started the show today.
Very good. Well, with that, let's wrap it up. First, let's go to Patrick. Any shout-outs for the audience tonight, Patrick?
Yes, as always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. We have a meeting tomorrow at Kia of Portland, and they're going to be providing some food and having some speakers, and it should be a cool talk, and Kia has some nice EVs. And so if you're interested in checking that out, you can go to oeva.org and look at our calendar. That'll be up there. And I blog at carswithcords.net, where I write about our progress towards a future free from fossil fuels. And somewhat appropriately, the article I have up there right now is what to expect from Tesla in 2024. And the first thing I have on the list is the Highland coming to the U.S., which we just talked about.
There we go.
Yep. I got at least one thing right. The predictions get a little more crazy though, so we'll see if this trend continues.
Now we didn't have time to collect the guesses for Tesla production for next year. So we're going to give everyone another week. We're going to do that first thing next show. So get your guesses ready, everybody, and bring them to the show, or tweet them to us, or mention them in the comments, and we'll start recording those for next year. And if you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up on the video. Press that subscribe button. It helps us out. Small channels like ours really helps us get in front of new eyeballs.
Absolutely.
Last but not least, Casey, what have you got for shoutouts this evening?
Well, come see us on Sundays at youtube.com @KCGreen. That's KACEYGREEN. And let's do this journey together on whether or not we do a Foundation Series Cybertruck or a Series Cybertruck, and see what goes on there. And this is exciting and overwhelming at the same time. I did not. This is my first time ever being invited to a special edition Tesla. It was too late for the Model S, and I could afford it anyway. And they canceled my Model S 40 before I could buy it. And for the Model X, that just wasn't even on the radar. And then Model 3, I did get it in that class, but they didn't have a special edition for Model 3, so it didn't count.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Well, with that, thanks everyone for watching, and get together with us next Wednesday, and together we'll find out what's happening in the Tesla life.
Stay positive, test negative.
Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you, Lee Moon.
Thanks, Lee.